Okay, I'll give you time to review. Okay, if you have calculators with you there, you can use the calculator. Or else, magmano-mano mo. Okay, I will get the answer. Usahon na to ko ng answer ha. Okay, so you answered the 5. Okay, when you send me the answer, just DM it or send the 5. Okay, do you have an answer in number 1? Letter A, rather. Oh, okay, so is this number 1, Muhammad? Number 1 is siya imong gisend the answer. Okay, please confirm if the same ba ang mugawa sa inyong calcu? 36, 2, 8, 8, 0, 0. Tama ba? Okay, 3,628,800 for number 1. Okay, same. Okay, what about, okay, letter B? Okay, 20. Okay, letter C? Okay, 120. Good. What about letter D? Okay, 1,680. Okay, and number 5? Okay, it's 1. Okay, so I hope nasa calcu you also use your calculator so that you can evaluate these permutations easily. So these are an example of with subsets. Okay, so permutations with subsets wherein for number letter A, this is when n is equal to r, and the rest it is n taken r at a time or when your n is greater than your r. Okay, so let's try to review also when you use problem solving or problems like number 2. Okay, so we will not answer or will not get the answer, but we will just identify what kind of permutation is this. Okay, so though this is with a subset, but we will see. Okay, for letter A, in how many ways can we award the first, second, third prize among 8 contestant? Give me the like this lang. Okay, do not evaluate. Okay, what is your R? What is your N? Letter A. Okay, so this is, your N is 8. And this is a permutation with a subset and you have your R is 3. Okay. So, dili na lang nato na kuwaon lang sa ang answer because you know already how to evaluate. Okay, what about letter B? Letter B and letter C. Okay, so we were going to go back to that. We will continue first to discuss, then we will going to go back to this problem. Okay, so we will continue. Okay, so nanay answer ang uban. B is 6. Okay, but you write down the permutation here like this. Pariha aning sa number to letter A. Okay, so we will go back. So, mubalik ng tadira, and we will discuss first the what are permutations. Okay, so we just discussed yesterday the definition 2.1, and then we go to the theorem, okay, which is the 2.1 permutation without replacement. So it is the number of total number of permutations of n objects which is given by when your n is equal to your r. Okay, so this is just simply the factorial notation. Okay, so without replacement. Meaning, kung 8 ang imuhang number of n, ang imuhang gi-rearrange or imuhang gi-arrange is also 8. So, all of the objects are involved in the arrangement. Okay, while in the theorem 2.2, this is cropped from your study guide. Okay, so theorem 2.2 is permutation with subset. So, meaning, without replacement, meaning your R is less than your N. Or you take R, okay, from your N at a time. So this is what we call the permutation with subsets. So an example of that is number 2, letter A on the previous example. So asa man ang example ana. So kani siya kaning ato ang giansiran. This one is the example. In how many ways can we award the first, second, third prize among 8 contestants? So you take 3 places among 8 contestants. So please be reminded that that is permutation with subset or without replacement. Also known as permutations and objects taken R at a time, where your R is less than your N or your N is greater than your R. Okay? So, clear? Claro? So, remember that 2 ha, the difference between the 2. Now, let's move on to the next theorem, which is 3. Theorem 3. Okay, so you notice the numbers, theorem 2.1 and 2.2, so related rin silang duha. Okay, so another theorem or another formula that you're going to consider is permutation with replacement. Okay, so kindly look at the this is the permutation of n objects taken R at a time with repetition. Okay? So what do you mean by repetition? Unsay example ani nga ato ang na experience already or na solve already. So remember the formula, your n is raised to your R. Okay? What is an example of this? Okay, example of this is, let's go back to the first discussion on the permutation. Okay, so here, the tossing of coins. Did you remember this problem? Okay, remember? Okay, tossing of coins and then dice. So, unsa gani ang, okay, so when we use the factor 3, how do we get it? Okay, so this is 2 times 2 times 2, right? So remember that it is repetition because you're using the same coin. Okay, so you repeat to toss it 3 times. So therefore, what is your end then? Okay, your end here is sa may imuhang end. Sa may ning repeat ana. So your n here is 2. And the number of events you have is 3. So your R is, okay, your R is 3. So therefore, that is N raised to R. So 2 raised to 3, which is equal to 8 outcomes. Okay? So that is an example of the theorem 3.1. So saan siya nga permutation? This is with repetition. Okay? So, repeat. Similar as the dice, di ba? When you roll the dice, so pila ka book faces sa dice, so balik-balik ra siya. Pila ka event siya gi-roll, it's twice. Okay? So, therefore, that is 6 rather. Okay, 6 to, okay, 2. Okay, the power of 2, which is, that is 36. Okay? Sakto ba? Okay? All right. So this is an example. Okay, example ni siya nga problem. What about example number 3? Saan ni siya ma-classify? 2 choices of main dish, main course, 2 choices of appetizers, 2 choices of dessert. Kani siya pwede. Tanaw na to na ba yung nag-answer? Is it also considered in the repetition? Or you could also classify it as the FCP, right? Okay, so pwede po siya fundamental counting principle or FCP. Pwede po siya ma-repetition because when you get the total or the combinations of that, you can have 2 times 2 times 2. Okay? All right. Question. Okay, so kani fundamental man gyapon ni siya ang 1 of 2. Okay, but it can be categorized as a repetition. Okay, so for task number 4, okay, so far, no question. Okay, for task number 4, what are the 3-digit number that can be formed using the digits 1, 2, and 3 such that no digits are used more than 1? So, sa gani ato ang solution for this? Okay, unsa gani ni siya? This is 3 times 2 times 1. Right? Tama ba? You still remember this? Okay, so therefore, 6 possible outcomes. So this one is where we still use permutation here, but this permutation, you will know that one kung unsa na siya later on. So this can also be written as 3 factorial. Okay? So this is a factorial notation. Okay. Which we will be categorized later on kung asa dapit siya na belong on the summary of the formula. Okay? So let's go to the next. Okay, the next. Okay, for a while. Okay, next other permutation. Okay, so replacement. Okay na siyang replacement. Now let's go to identical objects. Okay, so another permutation is when a number of permutations or arrangement of n objects with A objects are alike, okay, and B of another kind alike, or C of another kind alike, and so on. This can be given in this formula. So please take note. Okay? So how? So we will ma-appreciate nato ni siya nga formula or kani nga permutation when we have example. Okay? So let's have an example. Again, kani siya nga mga presentation was crafted in your study guide. Okay, so ako lang siyang gi-expound ang explanation. Okay? So let's consider this example number 1. Okay, example number 1, in how many ways can blue, 4 blue, 3 red, 3 yellow, and 2 green bulbs be arranged in a wire of a holiday decoration light with 12 sockets? Okay. So, asa man ang, okay, where is the repetition here? Okay, where is the identical rather? Identical objects. Okay, so identical means, may identical. So you have how many ways can 4 blue? So meaning, ang blue bulb, they are identical. Pare-pareho sila nga. Puro sila upat ka blue and then 3 red and then 3 yellow and then 2 green. Okay, so we will identify how many or what is n. Okay, let's identify what is n. Okay, what is our n? Okay, how many bulbs are there or how many objects are there in all? So mo na ato ang n. Okay, pila man kabuok ang atong i-arrange na objects or bulbs, no matter what color. Hello, how many is what is our n? Oy, ano man eh. Baga ba ani? Okay. Sige, what is our n? Oh yeah, okay. So 12. So mo na to ang n. Okay. Mukhaan eh. Wait lang. Kuhaan na lang ta. Notate na lang. So this is our n. So our n is 12 and we will identify what is the first objects nga identical, pare-pareho, and we will call it letter A. Okay, so our letter A here, it stands for the blue. Okay, so we have blue are identical, so that's A. B, another objects that are identical is 3. Okay? And then another one which is identical yellow, so we call it letter C. So that's 3. And another identical is green and we call it D. Okay? Takto ba? So we will use the formula of the permutation of the identical. So identical man siya. So unsa ganito and factorial A times B times C and so on. Okay, so pila man kabot kung identical objects, so natay 4, so meaning taman D. So just substitute that one. This is 12 factorial over, okay, 4 factorial, 3 factorial, 3 factorial, and 2 factorial. Okay, sige, solve. Use your calculator. Okay, so how are we going to evaluate that one? Okay, so ato sang i-simplify unsa atong pwede ma-eliminate. So, the 12 factorial is equal to 12 times 11 times 10 times 9 times 8, okay, times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 factorial para ma-eliminate nato ang 4 factorial. That's factorial. Okay, so daghan kay possible ways, no? So, kani siya, 4 factorial and 4 factorial, we can eliminate that one. Okay, pala kog admit sa kaning bagong nanulod. Hines, kindly help. Okay, so ato na siyang eliminate. So, that would be equal na lang to, okay, so what is your numerator? So, 12 times 11. So, calcu 9 times 8 times 7 times 6, 5. Then, you divide that one to the denominator. Okay, sa man ang denominator. 36 times 2. Please confirm sa calcu ninyo ha, kung sakto ba or kung ay correction, you just inform me or if you have question. So, 19958,400 over 6 factorial is 6 times 6 times 2. Are you following? Follow? Okay, follow? Okay. Okay, follow? Okay, are you following class? So therefore, you have 277,200 ways, okay, to arrange the wire of a holiday decoration with 12 sockets. Okay? Question so far? So, unsa ni siya nga klase nga example? So, this example is with, with identical objects. Okay? So, please take note. By the way, this is also recorded, so I can clear up the solution so that we can go to other example. Okay, another example, real world problems. Okay, so it's quite similar to the previous example. This is also part of the permutation with identical ang iyahang objects. So, identical siya kay all are marbles with identical colors, red, white, and green. So, how are you going to solve this one? So, similarly, you're going to use permutations with identical objects. Okay? So, do I need to show it or we will summarize it? Okay? Because we will be I will be showing you different problems and then you identify what kind of permutations are those. Okay? So, ang timaylan lang ana class, ang difference ng ana is basta identical gani, naa gani siya yung mga identical nga mga objects in that particular permutation so that you will going to use this formula. So, kaniray murag nadugang. Okay? So, let's try to have the summary of all the terms and formula. Okay. So here, this can also be found in your study guide at the very last part in the wrap-up portion. So factorial notation. Okay. So this is the formula. Saan nyo gamito ng factorial notation? So if you notice that the problem, ang pattern sa iyang problem on the factorial is nagka-decrease. Right? Okay? So, example of that is the task number 4. Okay? That I showed you last time. Fundamental counting principles. Okay? Fundamental counting principles is just the regular permutation. Okay? Or kanang usual lang a permutation. So, ato ni siyang i-categorize later. Okay? So, with subsets, you have two types of with subsets. If your n is equal to your r, it could be you go back to the factorial notation. If your n is greater than your r, or your r is less than your n, or you take r at that time, so you can use this. Okay? And then with repetition, okay, so this is n to the power of r with repetition. Okay, if nag-repeat ang iyang paggamit sa object. And then identical object. Okay, now let's go to this examples. Analyze and solve the following problems. You have 4 example problem here. I'm going to give you time to identify lang. Okay, identify what kind of permutations are these problems. Okay, so I will give you, it's 141. Okay, so I will go back to you at 148. Okay, sige. Okay, identify lang ninyo ha. Okay, kung gusto mo i-solve ninyo daan, so it's your call na. Okay, so I'll give you mga 6 to 7 minutes to analyze and solve this problem. My minimum requirement is just to identify which, okay, which in the formula you're going to use. Okay. Okay, makita ra ninyo, class? Okay, reserve the ring a space for our solution later on. Okay, hello. So, wait lang. Sorry, na-stop. Okay. So, are we set? Okay, so let's start with number 1. Okay, so what do you think is the answer to number 1? So, do you have answer for number 1? Anyone in the chat box? Okay, let's analyze. Okay, so naay nagkuan. Permutation with a subset. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we'll see. Okay, so if this is permutation with a subset, then what is your initial answer or your answer? Okay, when I say initial, it could be wala pa siya na-evaluate or not totally the answer. P10P4. Okay, so initial lang sa niha. Okay, so let's see. So you have 10. 10 is your N. Okay, so why? Okay, so ano man? Okay, let's analyze ha. So we will, how about the others? What about the others? Okay, any idea from the others? Okay, similarly with subset. With subset sa daw. Probably if your answer is with subset, so you have your 10P4. Okay? 10P4. Okay, all right. Sige, ato daw i-model. Okay, ato daw i-illustrate. A multiple choice type of quiz has 10 questions. So, naakay 10 ka questions. Okay? With 4 choices. Okay? So, 4 ka choices. Asa mo ang event, ana? You still remember that? Okay, so, okay. Ay, sorry. Ako naanad aning kaning gisuggest nga app. Okay, so, number 1. Okay, sige. So, atong i-examine ha, naakay 10 questions with multiple choice. So, indicated by the letters A, B, and C, and D. Kay multiple choice, so pat ka choices. So, A, B, C, and D na siya. Okay? So, in how many ways can the quiz be answered? Okay? So, in item number 1, say possible nga answer sa item number 1. So, could be A, B, C, or D. Okay, tama ba? Tama na. Tama or mali? Okay, so in number 2, could be also A, B, C, or D. Sakto ba? So, meaning, sa item number 1, ang imuhang answer, pwede siya A, letter B, letter C, letter D. So, meaning, sa 1 to 10 nimo nga test, question, possible nga letter A tanan ang answer. Okay, right? So, ang imuhang item number 1 or question number 1 will serve as your event 1. Event 2. Okay? Follow? So, this one, 4 times 4, right? Times another 4 for your event number 3. So, unsay pattern ninyo nakita? So, this is 4 times 4 times 4 up to how many? 4 possible choices. Question mo ang event. Okay? Kay mo ang choices mo man imuhang pilian, di ba? Okay, di ba ang item number 1 possible nga ang answer A, B, C, D. Okay, ang event number 2 pod or question number 2 possible pod nga A, B, C, D. Possible ba na nga mag-repeat-repeat or mubalik-balik ang imuhang answer sa item 1 to 10? Possible, di ba? Possible nga tanang answer is letter A. So, repetition siya. Am I right? Okay? So, therefore, this is N. Okay? So, ikapila man ang 4 gibalik-balik. Okay? So, that is 10 times, right? So, therefore, this is not with a subset. Okay? So, this is repetition. Okay? So, asa man tong repetition? Dara ang repetition. Okay? So, where your N, okay, where N is equal bagyapon kung imuhang ENP, equal bagyapon ng answer when you use the this one. Kani. Ay, ala ka, oy. Sorry kayo ha. Okay. The same ra ba ang answer kung kani imuhang gamiton sa imuhang calculator? Unsay result ani? What is the result? Okay, so when you compute that one in your calculator, unsay result ana? 10P4. Okay, so ang 5,040 which is not equal to the illustration or ang possible nato nga illustration when we use the Venn diagram or the model. So if it is repetition, ang inyuhang N class is katong number of choices. Okay? Kay mo man ni inyuhang gipilian, murag mo ni inyong N, mo ni inyong objects. Okay, klaro? So mo na inyong objects. Ang inyuhang N, nabaliktad siya. So kuan na siya. Okay, baliktad inyuhang kuan. R og N. Okay? Pero kung inyo na siyang i-compute, ma-error inyuhang calculator. Okay? It's just because dapat ang inyuhang R is less than yun siya sa N. Pero in this case, daghan man imuhang event. So this is with repetition. So this is, so unsaon pagkuha sa inyong NPR, so your N here is equal to, okay, 4. And your R here is equal to 10. Okay? So, kani. Okay, so you have your NR. N over, or raised to the power of R, which is 4 to the 10 base. Okay? So, this is equal to 1,048,576. So, the answer here is, this is permutation with repetition. So, see the difference ha? Tanawan ninyo ang unsay pagkalahian sa depende sa unsa pag-illustrate sa problem. So, this is 1, your P here is equal to 1,048,500. Okay, so P is equal to 4 raised to 10, which is equal to 1,048,576. Okay, so there are 1,048,576 ways, okay, to answer the quiz. Question. Okay. So, okay na taning number 1. So, please take note of the problem example. So, mas maayo gud siya i-factor 3 or i-illustrate ninyo in a factor 3. Balag dili mahuman. Basta makita ninyo ang pattern. Then, you go to the wrap-up formula. Okay, so asa dapit dara. Okay, number 2. Okay, number 2. Though wala gi-indicate sa mga problem nga ma-repeat ba or dili, but it is very clear nga in multiple choice or in a quiz, possible gyud nga magbalik-balik ang imong choices. Possible gyud nga letter A or letter B ang tanang answer sa questions. Okay, number 2, any idea? 96. So I'll write the initial answer here, 96. 96 96 7-digit numbers can be written using the digits 1, 2 ka 1, 3 ka 2, o nanamoy clue, 1 ka 3, and 1, 4. What did you observe? Nabay condition dira nga giingon nga dili pwede balik-balik ang 1 and 2. We're in fact using. Yes. Okay, so nanay nakakuha, no? Repetition? Is it repetition? Okay, which? So probably dili gid ni siya subset. Di siya factorial notation. Aha. Okay. Puros question mark, no? Okay, so identical. Okay, so anong identical man? Kaya ang imuhang objects is identical na. Pwede ka mo, ang imong gamiton, pwede duha ka, 1 o, okay, you have also 3-digit 2. So if it is identical, so therefore, you can use the permutation with identical objects. Okay, so this is equal to P is equal to your N. What is your N? Okay, your N here is 7. Your A here is, could be the first digit na nag-repeat, which is 1. Okay? So, pila man ka times ni repeat ang 1, so twice. Okay, so mo ni imong A. This is your A. Then this is your B. Okay, and then CD. Pwede na nimo dili apel ang imong CD because it's just 1. 1 factorial raman na siya. Okay, so you can substitute that to the formula of this. Okay, so identical. So you have n factorial, which is 7, over 2, which is your A, and then your B is 3. Okay, so nganong 2 kay ay ang 1 mo na imuhang letter A, and the 1 is identical siya, pareho siya, murag kaluha siya, duha ka buok sila. Okay? And then you have also 3 factorial. Okay? Okay, so the answer here is, what's the answer? Okay, what's the answer? Okay, 420. Okay, so the answer is 420. Question. So far, so good? Okay. Now, let's proceed to number 3. It's 202, extend tagamay, para mahuman nato ni. Okay. What about number 3? What is your idea? There are 3 chocolate chips, 4 oatmeals, and 2 double chocolate cookies in a box. Yes, okay. Correct. Okay. So remember, kani sila are cookies. So you have chocolate chips, you have oatmeals, you have chocolate, double chocolate cookies. Pero nag-identical siya, meaning pari-pariha nga na ay chocolate chips tulo ka buok. Okay, 3. Nay oatmeals na 3, ay na 4. Okay, identical. So probably this is also an example of the identical objects. Okay, so you identify your N. What is your N? Okay, so correct, no? Identical object siya. Okay, so why? So you have your N. Pila na siya tanan ka cookies? So 3 plus 4, 7 plus 2, 9. Okay, am I correct? So 9 kabuok cookies. Identical ang chocolate. Okay, so you call it letter A. So pila man sila kabuok? So tulo. So that's 3. And you call oatmeal as B, which is 4. And then your C is the double chocolate cookies, which is 2. Okay? So just substitute that one. So you have 9 factorial and then 3 factorial, 4 factorial, and 2 factorial. Kung imo maguni siyang i-illustrate class, imagine maabtan ka og siyam-siyam kay 420 different ways. So, mo na nga na-create ni siya nga mga formulas or mga theorems. Okay, so this would be equal to, sige, solve. Okay, you can eliminate first the 4 factorial. Okay, so I have here now the answer. Okay, so which is 1, you're correct. Okay, so 1 to 60. Okay, so dili na nako i-show on the evaluation on how to get the 1,260 ways. Okay, so there are 1,260 different orders. Okay, so in number 4, okay, so what do you think? Kani silang 5 is an example of permutation. Unsa na siya nga klase nga permutation? Okay, so look at the letters. Okay? The letters are identical, right? There are letters in the word or each word with identical. Like, say for example, in the word reference, so naakay E that are identical and then R that are identical. If you're going to rearrange that without restriction, kay identical man siya, so imo ni siyang i-form og another word, then you are going to get which among, okay, these 5 words that has greatest number of permutations. So again, number 4 is an example also of identical objects. Okay? So, you're going to identify lang kung asay pinakadako og number of permutation and asay pinakagamay. Okay? So, let's find letter A. Okay? So, letter A, so your N here is the number of what number of letters. So pila man ang number of letters. So R, E, F, E, R, E, N, C, E. Pila man na siya? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tama? Okay, please help me double check ha. And then, what are the letters that are identical? So you call it the first letter E, which is identical. Pila man kabuok sila? Ka-E. So, 4. And then B, which is the second letter na na-identical, R. Okay, so duha ka R. Okay? So, and then you just substitute that one in the formula of the identical objects. Okay, so which is 9 factorial, 4 factorial, and 2 factorial. And see what's the equivalent. And then for letter B, same. Letter C, letter D, letter E. Then identify asa ang pinakadako, greatest and least. Is it the word bookkeeping, reference, infinity, visibility, or Mississippi is the greatest or least? Okay. Okay, since it is already 2:07, so I will leave this activity to you. So this activity can be found in your study guide. Let me double check the page. Okay. So this is page, right, page 25. Okay, so check your understanding. Check your understanding. Page 25 na siya. Page 25. Okay, so kanilang siya, number 4, ang inyong praktisan for the identical objects. Okay? So are you now ready to complete your worksheet 2? Do you think that these examples are enough to complete your worksheet number 2? We are not yet done in the topic on the permutation because we missed the circular. Okay? So, naapa ni siya circular class arrangement when it is a circle. So, for your asynchronous on Friday or for your vacant time, you can download in advance the study guide for the circular. Okay, so naana dito naka-attach sa inyong Quipper, week number 2. Okay? So, advance lang siya. Advance scan your study guide. So far, if the problem in your worksheet number 2 involves linear permutation, so this is an example of linear permutation. Again, so kaning ako ang gi-show today are an example of linear permutation. Okay, let me share again. Okay, para ma-remind. Okay, so kani siya nga wrap up formula are for linear. Okay, so linear lang ang arrangement niya. So lain papud ng other papud ng circular. Okay? So any questions so far on linear permutations? Okay, reserve your questions when you answer your worksheets if you have clarifications. Kung maka-encounter mo circular, ayaw lang sa ninyo answeri ang sa circular. Okay? And of course, ayaw sa ninyo i-submit kung dili pa kompleto. Okay? So, submit lang sa ninyo when it is already complete. Okay, but if you can answer the circular problem using your study guide, okay, so na may dagang examples dira, and then you're sure of your answer already, then it's fine with me if you can also submit it in advance. Anyway, pwede man ninyo ma-re-upload ang inyong new worksheet kung na may gusto usubon sa inyong gi-submit. I'm okay with that. Okay? So, any more questions and clarifications? Just comment ha, if basin o paspas na kaayo ko sa inyong discussion. Just comment. Okay. So, wala na? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No more questions, clarifications? Okay, so I'll just send the solution. Ako lang saning tarungon ng recorded. Okay. So if none, then let's call it a day and leave Jesus in our hearts.
Forever.
Forever. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and see you next week. Okay, bye.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, bye-bye.